Good morning. I'm really tickled to see so many of you here because we have 40 ladies at the women's retreat. And I know they're having just a blast with Reverend Sue and Dr. Andrea. But maybe it's the title of the talk that captured your imagination. Your fortune begins in consciousness. I looked up the definition of fortune, and the first one is what you would expect, a great amount of money and possessions. But the English language is sometimes challenging for new people who come to this country because the same word can have another definition that's totally different. And this one does. The other definition is something that happens by chance. How different is that? And if you go to a fortune teller, they will perceive what your future is and tell you that. So is it about money? Is it something about chance? Is it really something you get from a fortune teller? It's kind of an interesting topic. But regardless of the word fortune, the title is Your Fortune Begins in Consciousness, and that's exactly what we believe. Everything begins in consciousness. Our consciousness is our awake mind right now. It's a place where we generate thoughts and beliefs, where we're aware of ourselves. So you're conscious, you're here this morning, aren't you? Okay, good. You're sitting in a chair, you're feeling the temperature of the air, and you've noticed that these wing walls were painted this week, didn't you? That's conscious awareness, being aware of the moment. And sometimes we're not really there. Sometimes we're not really aware of our surroundings. But when we go in a crowd and we're looking for a friend, we're highly conscious. But then sometimes we're on autopilot, like those people using their smartphones and walking into a telephone pole. Or the one gal who was looking at her smartphone and walked off the end of a dock into the ocean. So our consciousness is either totally aware or we're not really connected. And when we're connected, it's really beautiful. Well, Ernest Holmes wrote that our consciousness is our mental awareness, and there's two aspects to us. And I'm going to use my hands as a demonstration this morning. Objective consciousness, that's your conscious mind that you're using right now. It's the one that brought you here this morning. It's the one where you decided where to sit. And it's the one where you're either closely listening to what I'm saying or you're thinking about going to brunch after this. It's your conscious mind. You choose what you think about. You choose how you're going to use your time. So the other aspect that Holmes described is subconscious mind, subjective mind. It's called subjective because it's not conscious of itself. It just knows to receive information. It's your subconscious. It stores everything you've ever said, everything you've ever done, everything you've ever seen. It's like a warehouse. It's interesting because sometimes when we're daydreaming, something pops into mind that we don't think we drew in, like what happened on our first date? What happened when we first fell in love? What happened when we got dumped in a relationship? These things pop into our minds sometimes and we go, where did that come from? Came from subconscious mind because it's all there. It's filled with our memories. It's like those tip of the tongue moments when you're trying to remember your high school science teacher's name, and it's right there. I know it, and bang, it pops out, and you go, wow, that was cool. That's where it came from, subconscious mind. What we think about deeply, what we believe, it's like planting a seed. And when we keep thinking about it and keep focusing on it, we're watering the seed. And those seeds have a strong presence in subconscious mind. Subconscious mind just thinks, okay, that's what you're thinking about. You want more of it? Here it comes. It's like a strong magnet, and it draws to you what you've been focused on. And amazing things happen. When we put more energy into love, peace, joy, subconscious mind goes, cool. We'll bring you more of that. Obviously, that's what you're focused on. It's what you want. When we spend time on negative feelings and emotions, and there's lots of opportunity for that in our world today, subconscious mind says, okay, that's what they want more of. We have several examples of people in our congregation here who have very deeply held beliefs, and they're very successful. And the first one on my mind is Reverend Sue. She believes deeply in retreats, deeply. She believes a retreat experience will change her life, and it will. And she's committed to that, and she's highly successful. That's her belief, and she's excellent at it. Cher Matthews is another one. She's like, to me, kind of an idea person on steroids. She has one great idea and accomplishes that and goes on to the next one and the next one, and it's, slow down, take a breath. But that's her love, that's her passion. Ideas for exhilarating experiences like the Art and Soul Festival and like SOAR, going on these little side trips with everybody and just having a wonderful time. Another person is Diana Wolfstead. Now, Diana believes deeply in the value of a beautiful landscape. And with Charlie and the team, they have created the most magnificent gardens here. Why? Not just because they think we needed it. They believe deeply in the power of a beautiful landscape to bring you peace, to bring you joy, to add to the meditation, to add to your mindfulness about life. And it's wonderful to walk in the gardens. It's wonderful to sit there on one of the benches and just feel the peace of God. Diana Johnson's another person that I highly admire because her focus, she's a ministerial student right now, so she's taking lots of classes. And what she's been focused on for the last 2 years is studying who Ernest Holmes studied. And these classes are ongoing. They're amazing. Christian D. Larson, huge book, wonderful man. Ernest Holmes studied him. Now people here in our center are studying Christian D. Larson, and it's life-changing. The universe has no fixed agenda. It just has unlimited potential. And once we make a decision, it works with that. There's no right or wrong. There's just endless possibilities, endless possibilities. But when we make a decision, it's a signal to subconscious mind. Okay, let's move heaven and earth to make this happen. Let's use all the energy that we have to make this happen. So when we take time to agonize over something, subconscious mind goes, oh, anxiety? Sure, we can bring you more of that. No problem. There's lots of opportunity for that in the world today. But sometimes I think sometimes we misuse our time. There are moments when we misuse our time. Being anxious about the future. God's in charge. How could we be anxious about the future? The State of the Union, regretting old mistakes, brooding over the fact that everything's impermanent. These are things some people worry about, but our mind doesn't care whether we're misusing our time by focusing on those things. It trusts us. It trusts where we spend our energy. That's why Ernest Holmes said to learn how to think is to learn how to live. It's all in mind. We call it a law or a principle because it works the same every time. Conscious mind, daydreaming. Every conscious thought doesn't go into subconscious mind. It takes watering that seed. But when it's there, the power of the universe acts on it. It's like that magnet I was talking about. Ernest Holmes called this the road to freedom because we're in charge of our road to freedom. Because your fortune is what you deem it will be. A few years ago, a religious science practitioner shared with me, we were at Asilomar and sitting in the practitioner room, and he shared with me the time his investment partner came to him and said, we're out of money. They were in this major project that took millions and millions of dollars of financing, and the financing partner decided to drop out. And this practitioner said, I had $1 million in personal debt invested in that. And I was totally blown away, totally shocked. He said it was the most dark, shameful day of his life to have gotten into a position with a partner that was that unreliable, a finance partner. He had to let go of his house. He had to move into a room with a friend. Can you imagine? It was really tough. And he was walking around his room, and something fell out of one of the books he was looking at, and he picked it up, and it was a prayer. Now, he's a practitioner, but he is deep in darkness. He's in deep, deep darkness. And the prayer was about God loves him no matter what. And he said, the emotion that came out of my body was something I never expected. He was on his knees crying. He had forgotten the most simple thing, that he is loved no matter what. He started praying for guidance, good practitioner. And he began to feel better. And he finally said, what should I do next? And he listened. But he didn't get an answer. He got a question. The question was, where did you previously work where you had the most fun? Where you made the most money? Where you felt really appreciated? And he thought, about 20 years ago, I worked for this investment firm, and now it's a huge firm. Maybe I'll go check with them. So he made an appointment with the manager, and the manager hired him on the spot to seek out other investment possibilities for them. He would be paid, obviously, but he would also get stock options. And within 3 years, he had recovered to his previous financial position. Now, this practitioner is now a minister, and his name is Ernie Chu. And I checked the bookstore. We are out, but this is an awesome book, Soul Currency. He had to write this book from his experience. This wake-up call was too major not to share it with the world, because he was a Chinese immigrant, and his parents gave him a great work ethic, work very hard. But in addition to the belief in hard work, he also learned from them that you can't trust the world. Now that's in subconscious mind. He wouldn't have told anybody that. That was in his subconscious mind. You can't trust anybody. And you always had to be careful. And you had to be lucky to get ahead. Now, what does subconscious mind do with that? Hey, dark night of the soul combined to bring him that experience. So he learned from the answer, from the question that Spirit gave to him, that the soul's passion is to do what we love to do it with fun, to do it with joy, and to put loving energy into everything that we do. That's what you want in subconscious mind. That's why he calls this soul currency. It's your soul's currency. And he believes that love and forgiveness of ourselves are prerequisites for success. He found that resentment and anger that he had towards his business partners repelled the very energy that he wanted to come to him. He put it this way: negative thoughts detour the creative energy around us instead of coming to us. They repel it. The creative energy. So he invites us to activate our intention, focus on it, put it in subconscious mind, supercharge it with enthusiasm. I tell you, this is one enthusiastic man who will tell everybody about his experience because he knows the power of the mind. And then multiply it with the power of love. That's what he learned. Because the truth is, Spirit wants us to live fully. And that's why our spiritual development classes are so important. We want to stretch your mind muscles. We want to stretch them. We want to stretch your vocabulary to pump you up with power words that help empower the beautiful thoughts you put in mind. Sometimes it means redefining yourself. I was thinking about that this morning, and I thought, I have to come in here with joy. I have to. Maybe I didn't feel like it this morning, but on the way here, I pumped myself up with joy, and I feel joyous in giving this message. So it's our present consciousness that goes into subconsciousness. And with the power of mind, we create our future experience. So examine your expectations. Do you think life is fun, life is great, life is hard, life is tough? What are your expectations? Because those signals are patterns that are in your subconscious mind. Think about that. Those patterns, life is tough, life is difficult, are in subconscious mind, and they're working. They're working, magnets. So what we find in subconscious mind, there may be a lot of stuff you don't even know is there, like he felt about his parents. Great work ethic, but be careful. You can't trust the world. If you can't trust, think of the energy that brings to you. Reasons you can't trust. So maybe you aren't expecting enough out of life. Maybe, having just turned 70, is my life getting dull or boring? Do I feel dull? I have to think about that. Well, maybe you should slow down. Maybe you shouldn't work so hard. Maybe you shouldn't blah, blah, blah. That's why my email is revmary49@gmail. I'm 49, healthy, wealthy, and wise. That's going into my subconscious. I put it in there every day, and it works. So in a couple of weeks, I'll be presenting a class called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And if you don't know Don Miguel, he is a Toltec. He grew up in the Toltec tradition. This is the book. It's in the bookstore. We have a lot of them. He was a medical doctor, and he was a surgeon. But through his mother and the family, they told him the wisdom of intent, and he became a master of intent. And I've talked a bit about that. Our intention is so powerful. Well, he writes that these 4 agreements will change your life, but you have to practice them. And so there's a lot of fun questions and discussions we're going to do in that class. And I encourage you, if you're thinking life is a little too much of, it's tough, it's difficult, come and join me in this. Don Miguel says it perfectly. Wake up to your personal responsibility. What happens to you is dependent upon your own thoughts. Your actions and reactions are under your control. You're not a victim, nor are you a judge. You're a spiritual being empowered with the potential to transform your world and the world. He encourages us through some of the same things Ernie Chu said. Joy, what brings you joy? Where can you pump up your experience with power words? Where can you bring more love into your life, into anything that you do? You might remember the story of the young native boy who went to the medicine man and said, I keep having these dreams. There are 2 dogs fighting. One is black and one is white, and I don't know who's going to win. And the medicine man said, the one that you feed will win. The negative or the positive, the one you feed will win. So we're always feeding ourselves. And it's up to you to determine whether you get stronger, because that is what determines your fortune. So you don't need to go to a fortune teller. Good news. You're a free agent. You decide what will be. So decide on the side of greatness. So let's pray about that. In this moment, I feel supercharged with God. That great infinite intelligence that has given us all these opportunities for bliss, all these opportunities to look away from the negative and bring love to everything that's happening. I choose for each one of us today the freedom to do that and to know consciously what we're doing. The freedom to have true prosperity that is supercharged with love. Supercharged with love. I know this is true for myself and everyone here. I accept it because I put these words into the law that always responds. And so I know the power within, which is why today we say together, and so it is. Thank you.